another episode of Strong Female Lead. I am your co-host, Tessa.
And I'm Tricia.
And this is Strong Female Lead. Like I said, the podcast where we dissect whether or not Hollywood is getting it right in its depiction of female characters on the silver screen and on the small screen. And are we getting it right? Or are they getting it right? We're always getting it
Hollywood.
right. Getting it right.
Hollywood.
Exactly.
We're taking them to task. We're asking.
We're asking the hard-hitting questions about the year's, or I guess last year's, best horror movie, in my opinion, 2019's Ready or Not. I personally loved it. So it's just a little film about a bride's wedding night that takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. Ooh. Is it a tragedy? Is it a comedy? Is it the whole new horror comedy genre? I think so. I think it had a little bit of everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would call this like a B-level horror movie, like in terms of like the most scary, like gory, like, and then this is right under there where it's like it's gory. There's some good kills, but it's not as scary. Like I wouldn't like if you can't do horror movies and you're like I'm sensitive or something. I just don't want to watch people die. I have a heart and empathy and things like that.
You know? I'm too sensitive.
I'm sensitive. I could never.
Not for my eyes.
I'm so delicate.
It was a ride, and I just want to take it back to the hard-hitting questions. I do think this is really hard-hitting journalism.
Oh yeah.
We're here and we're asking the questions that you all want to ask. Is this a strong female lead in Ready or Not? Oh my God, I did. I loved it. I was so happy that you suggested it because it was in my back.
I feel like we were on a bad trend.
Where we hated each other's movies.
Yeah.
Where we were like, homework.
Like, oh, what?
I know. It was in the background of my brain as something I wanted to watch, and it just kept popping up on whatever my various streaming services are, and I just hadn't watched it yet. And I looked it up and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And it was great. And no, it's not that scary.
No.
And it's funny. It's dark humor. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And if you can handle the trailer, I suggest watching the trailer. If you can handle the trailer, you can handle the whole movie. It pretty much gives you a complete film in short in the trailer. So it's like if you can handle those 3 minutes, you can handle the rest of the 92. It's like 95 minutes short to the point.
They don't really leave a lot of mystery, and it's very clear from the beginning what's going to happen, except I was a little thrown because I know she's going to survive, but I was a little thrown at the end though, and we'll get to that, but like, the scene, I thought it was really funny. I was like, oh, this would be, well, I'll just do it, you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean
start a little bit before that. I don't know.
You mean like when after she's escaped and the family kind of explodes, I guess? Or how far back? Like what's the what were you thinking?
I don't know why I all of a sudden was like, ooh, don't spoil it this early on, but we're obviously we follow the way that our brain goes from topic to topic, and right now I am at the very end of the movie. Yeah, for a moment I thought they weren't going to explode, and I thought that would be kind of hilarious. After all of that,
they'd be wrong. Yeah,
that they'd be wrong about it. But then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're going to. And it was well done because I really did. That did surprise me for a second. I knew she'd survive, but I'm like, is this going to be so ridiculous that they're just like, all right, see ya. Like, it wouldn't happen, or it didn't happen, and then it did, and then it was like, oh, well, I see why they all wanted to kill her. I mean, not cool, but they're choosing between them and their family. They really think they're going to explode. And they were right.
Yeah, turns out. Yeah, and like throughout the movie, when I watched it again, I actually like paid a little bit more attention to the dialogue. And they're like, "Did you hear what happened to like some other rich family?" they're like, oh, their house burned down. And he's like, you wish their house burned down. And I was like, you wouldn't want to know how they really died. And I was like, ooh, but how did they die? How many like rich families have these deals with the devil to play games or whatever?
It very much had an Illuminati kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
It seemed aggressively unfair that she was not told about it, but at the same time, how do you tell someone about it? It was all very, you can't I mean, you can for sure, but then you're 100%, they're not going to play. They're going to think you're crazy, hopefully.
Yeah.
And leave you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, do they have to get married? That part was never explained. Like, if you just never chose to get married, do you just exist within the family? Because that seems fine. Like, you didn't have to involve her in this. It's kind of cruel.
I kind of wonder if they did, and then that is an interesting message about affluent families, like the expectations, and if they did have to get married, like what if the son he wanted to marry a man, but it wasn't legal at the time? Like, were they going to be able to play this game then? It was very patriarchal, kind of.
Yeah. Or like, why wouldn't you just marry someone who you didn't care about and then get the murder over with and then have a second wife of the one you do love?
Well, I wonder if you have to do it every time you get married, or just one just count.
Because I was just thinking of the aunt character with the white hair, who's just like so fierce. I was like, that crispy white button down on you, and I was like, fierce, loved it.
She had a one-track mind and knew what was going on because she knew enough people that had died.
And
I'm guessing
she was the bride at the very beginning. So the movie opens up with a flashback scene to like the 80s. And there's two brothers.
Rich brother one and rich
Daniel
brother two.
And Alex. Yeah. Richie Rich 1 and Richie Rich 2. Daniel and Alex. So Daniel is the oldest brother, who's played by Adam Brody. And then Alex is Mark O'Brien, the blonde. And so at the flashback scene, Adam Brody hides Mark O'Brien, Alex, in a closet so he doesn't see the murder happening. And then a guy who's like, looks like he's been stabbed by something, runs into like their bedroom or something. And he's like, help me hide. And then Daniel decides to turn him in to the family and that's, he gets murdered. And it's the husband of the aunt who is...
Oh, so it's the oldest brother or the youngest brother who turns him in?
The older brother. So Adam Brody is the one who turns the new husband in.
Got it.
And so the first time I watched it, I thought it was Mark O'Brien, and I was like, ooh, you're like silent but deadly. But then it's Adam Brody, which kind of explains a little bit. You have a little bit of empathy for his alcoholism and why he's kind of helping her. He doesn't want to do that again. Be the one to turn her in, which comes out in dialogue. But I'm like, I had to watch this 2 times to get that. Thank you.
And thank you. Oh, so he had alcoholism? I didn't think like that was...
Well, I think they just keep making reference to his like burgeoning alcoholism.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And he's drinking the entire movie. Which so would I. If someone's about to be murdered and there's quote unquote nothing I can do to stop it, I'd probably try to be as shit-faced as possible also.
I was going to say, I'm like, I would have to be under some sort of influence to participate in that.
Yeah. I thought that this is a commentary on like wealth and how wealth matriculates within families and society, and its effects on your behavior taken to an extreme in order to preserve wealth and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if this was your family? But I guess to some extent, this is everyone's family. You do what you have to do to like to fit in or to acclimate in some way. Hopefully you're not murdering people. I hope you're not murdering people. Don't murder people.
I mean, but just to hold on to the wealth, it's just incredible, like how used to something you can get that they just can't imagine not living like that. But then do they even have a choice to leave? Like, what if you're like, not for me, I'm not going to participate. Do you just explode? Do they never have that choice?
I think that's like the false equation that's like being put forth is that they don't have a choice. If they don't do this, then they will die. In reality, they kind of deserve to die. If the only way to keep your wealth is to continuously murder people, maybe you just give up.
But they were right. They had to keep doing it.
Yeah, they're correct. In order to maintain wealth and their life, they have to keep marrying and sacrificing to this chair demon. I was like, oh my God, I wish a demon would have a chair in my house. Get out of here.
Oh, I know. I love that. He's just sitting there.
I was like, you can go or pay rent or
But go. Don't you think at some point, I mean, not that she really had a choice, because she would have, the place was basically a fortress and was on lockdown. But once I entered the room with all the weaponry, I would start to feel unsettled, I would hope. But then I guess there's just this feeling like the rich are weird and eccentric. And of course they have a room. Like, I don't know what I would do. I'd like to say that I'd be like, oh, this is weird. I say no. But I think I would just be like, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like a very, I mean, I found this to be a very strong, like conservative, Richie Rich narrative where you both have a lot of money and then also prescribe to what is characteristically conservative values, like being very, very into the Second Amendment. And like, if you know people who are very into the Second Amendment, they often have more than one gun. So it really wouldn't strike me as that odd for someone to have like a hunting room or games room like that. It would be weird when like, I mean, it would still strike me as odd to be like, you don't have a passing interest in weaponry. You've got like a full-blown like obsession.
And I kind of thought the weaponry was for the sole purpose of the game, but I guess not.
Yeah, they probably. But yeah, I guess coming from your line of thought, I would just be like, okay, well, that's an eccentric thing that rich people spend money on, fancy antique guns, but.
Yeah, like I would think, oh, I hope I would feel uncomfortable and not want to go any further, and then I probably would be like, well, I don't know. People with a lot of money do a lot of shit because they're bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it would have fazed me that would be like so odd. Or even like playing a game. My new in-laws want to play a game. They're like, I mean, they're a game family.
I know.
It almost makes sense that they want to play a game on our wedding day. I'd be like, can we do this at the brunch tomorrow? I've been like wearing this dress for so long. And like...
Right. The only thing is that it's at night. That's kind of weird. But then, or at midnight, but then again, it's okay, they're weird. All right, this is your family. And everyone keeps, obviously they keep asking her the foreboding question, Adam Brody and her soon to be husband, are you sure? Are you sure? You can leave now. And it's just like,
And I was like, why would I leave on my wedding day? I've already agreed to marry you. I'm obviously into this situation. And tell me about the murder. Tell me about the murder part.
And why are you questioning it now? You already went this far. Don't you have to bring someone in? Like, what's your deal?
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess that's just part of the movie, though. It's just to add to the suspense. There's really no reason. But I love the lead actress.
If he couldn't tell her. It seemed like Adam Brody told his wife and she was still into it. So I was like, why didn't he just tell her and like let her decide? Because she could have just been like, great, let me just make sure I get my cardio up before the wedding and we'll be fine.
I know, I'll do some target practice.
Exactly. Make sure I get my like Tai Bo class in or like a kickboxing something if need be. And then we could have still been fine if you just let me in on this. So many things I could have done. Put a little knife in your boot or something. Like, I could prepare myself.
But so okay, so I'm just trying to figure this out because he can't tell her, but does he want her to survive? Because if she survives, they all die. So like that night, is it always like her or them, or was there a way you could escape? I don't get it.
Yeah, that was unclear. I was questioning the same thing. Like, if she survives, then the rest of his family dies, and that's.
And
it didn't seem like it didn't. Yeah, well, I would assume he would survive. Why would it? Again, why would they? Because there's 2 married couples. So, but they got different games.
And he did die.
True.
So I just like, and maybe we're just thinking too much into it, but yeah, I'm kind of like, okay, so you're celebrating your wedding and you guys are all like, poor her, but why is he then trying to help her escape? Because would he only explode if he were in the home? Like if they were able to get out together? There were just some loose ends. I was just like, was it either he was going to die or she was going to die no matter what?
Unclear.
Unclear.
Because it seemed like he was helping her.
Right.
But it seemed like he was only really helping her because he didn't want to like admit to himself that he was just as bad as the rest of his family.
Right.
And I think maybe him like participating, I think like the turning point for his character is when he like tries to kill her and then he becomes as bad as the family. And so I think maybe then he's eligible to die. But before he had like left the family and was estranged, and like it seemed like even in his own, at least in his own mind, he was separate from the rest of his family.
Yeah, but who gets to make that decision? The ghost guy, I'm sure, doesn't consider him separate. They're all part of the same thing. And how did the one survive? Oh yeah, no one had played the game. The reason, they didn't know what was going to happen because no one had played the game and lost. So that's what they knew. Maybe that's it. I think we figured it out.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
I guess nobody had played the game and lost, so that makes sense. I'll take that.
Because that's totally the only thing, right?
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
The aunt's husband was killed, and so that's why the family survived. But again, then why do any of this? Why not just like marry someone, like every, have a sacrificial lamb scenario? Like, oh, I'm gonna marry this guy who's just like, also a servant, and I'm just like, oh, nobody will miss this person.
Well, you know why? Because the brother, it seems like he kind of did that, and then now he is stuck with her because they probably get divorced.
You married her hoping she was going to pick the hide and seek, and then you're like, damn, guess who?
I think someone tried that strategy. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh my God, I hope that this happens if I ever get married. Like my in-laws have somehow listened to this podcast and they're just like, we want to play a game with you.
Oh my God, I'm dying. I think we figured this movie out.
I think we did. That makes so much sense. Because that's exactly what I would do.
Right, but then you're totally stuck with them, because if you're that stuck to your family's teat that you like need to be continuing this and have no other choice, you are not divorcing. Plus, you don't want to go through that shit again. You've got someone who's like just going to chill and hang out about it, and then we'll try and kill someone. I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's okay. But he did refer to her as like a gold digger. He didn't really seem that into her. He didn't seem into anything. She didn't seem into him.
No.
But still, it just is very depressing all around.
Yeah. And then I kind of felt a little bit of sympathy for the daughter character.
Sure. I liked her.
Emily or Amelie, or however you say it. Emily. I felt a little bit of sympathy because she honestly didn't seem like she didn't seem to be aware of what was happening in the flashback sequence, or maybe she wasn't born yet. But she seemed like she was like, what? We actually have to do this? Like she'd never done it before. I would have hoped that but I'm like, but her kids committed. Her kids knew what was happening, so I was like, someone told them about this family tradition and how it's okay to shoot people.
The kids seemed more committed. The kids seemed more committed than she was.
Scary. That kid was terrifying, and
and she's just snorting rails, like trying to get by, and her husband's like, "Wait, what?" But like,
and I was like,
I don't know.
I was assuming she was doing that because she's so uncomfortable with what's happening. Like, that would probably be the only way that I could get through something. I need to be teetering on blacking out to participate in anything of this sort. Actually, I would probably just not do it. I'd probably just take my exit. But
how would you exit?
I mean, like, off myself. Like, I'd be like, this isn't worth it. And this isn't worth it. Just like
a moment, a death moment to yourself.
Yeah. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, how much? I mean, no.
Well, And now I'm starting to think, because they all seem very confused, I'm wondering if A, this had never happened and they had lost, and B, they didn't believe that the guy actually died. Like the kids maybe didn't believe it because they were pretty young. So they didn't believe their uncle had actually died. I don't know. I'm just wondering how much they all believe, the adults, not the parent and the aunt, but the adults, how much they all believed what was going on. I don't know.
I think that they believed it because they had the weird little scene where the dad was telling Adam Brody's, or not Adam Brody, the dad was talking to his sister, whose husband was murdered, about how Alex, the little boy, was the only one who had ever seen him in the chair. And they're like, oh, I believe that it happened, and that he saw it. And she's like, or she said that, and he's like, you don't know, it could have just been like something in a chair.
Right. So maybe they knew but didn't want to believe it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Their spouses, really no one seemed to take it that seriously except Adam Brody's wife, who was down to clown.
Well, she's just like, ready. You know where I came from. And I was like, part of me is just like, I mean, social mobility is, that type of social mobility is like has historic precedence. I mean, no shame in my game until it comes to murder. Like, until you have to kill someone to maintain it, and then we have a problem. If you just want to marry rich and just be like, play a role, do you. Good luck with that. But you shouldn't have to murder someone to maintain your social status.
But that's the other commentary. They're on wealth. The family is doing it to maintain the wealth that they've grown up with and always known. And then the wife is doing it to maintain the wealth that she finally got. So everyone is trying to hold on to it. And the main actress, or the strong female lead, I will call it, I think she was the only one that didn't really seem to care about the wealth. She sort of joked about it. It was unclear. And, she grew up in foster care, and then she's the one that survived. I don't know. It was just it was interesting.
Yeah, I think that was exactly what I had taken away in terms of like the commentary on like generational wealth. But I do think that the Grace's character, Grace is the final girl
Grace.
that
Grace. That was her name.
Samara Weaving, yeah. Which I'm just like, okay, all right, no, okay, the name. But I mean, I don't know. I was trying to grasping at straws, trying to figure out like, because she is made out to be, the innocent victim, which is probably true, and that her only desire is for Alex and to be a part of a larger family. And I was like, I guess that's the only acceptable narrative for Mary. That's the only like narrative that society accepts. Like, because we automatically demonize the girl who's just Adam Brody's wife. It's unclear on whether or not she ever loved him. He's also an alcoholic who's kind of violent. So,
but they are demonizing the way she's using him in the way, but he's using her too. So they are, and then Grace has to be Grace, and she has to come from a struggling background and be beautiful, but totally, just kind of like effortlessly beautiful and fine and a little bit crass. And she seems, not traumatized by her past and ready to become part of a family. And it just, I mean, it would have been interesting if there was a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
Where she had some sort of agenda as well, but she seemed as pure as the driven snow.
And I wish I knew a little bit more about Grace, in terms of like, where exactly is she from? Like, how did they meet? I don't know. If I fell into a pit of dead animal carcasses, I don't know that I'd have the resolve to get up.
I thought those were humans.
Well, the humans went in after. The first time when she was in there maybe there was a human in there, but there's definitely like goat heads in that pit. Either way, a pit full of nasty, and I'm like, I don't know that I have the resolve within me to continue going, because there's a murderous child
In
also
life.
in this barn. Like, like I don't know that my life choices have been good.
Oh, so you would take your personal exit.
I don't know. I think it might be a cue from someone.
No, man. She goes up there and then she gets
so angry.
I'm wondering if there's some religion behind this, because then she gets crucified, right? A nail in her hand. Hello, Jesus on the cross. I don't know, man. There's a lot of messaging in this. Who wrote this?
Yeah.
Who did this? I loved it, but now I feel like there was some, I mean, it's fine, but there's definitely like, it's anti-conservative, but then it's also some religious propaganda. I'm like, what's happening here?
Oh, 100%. I feel like any movie where there's, you know, some sort of Satan character, there's also a God or Jesus type character, just, you know, balance things out. Usually it's the children, except for these children, who are corrupted by money and therefore evil.
Oh my God, just devilish.
Yeah. Oh, I would also love the spinoff to be about these kids now growing up in foster care and pretending to be poor, making the same agreement that their parents had and getting back their wealth and just being like tycoons on Wall Street again, like Wolf of Wall Street 2.
Yeah, or the modern. Yeah, it just becomes very modernized and they're just the basic like tycoons on Wall Street. I love that. Love that. Or it's just like, I don't know, it's like Bill Gates or something. Steve Jobs.
I'm trying to think of other board games. You know, instead of Ready or Not, it's Guess Who, or Guess Who just sounds like, why is that not a murder movie?
Ooh, I love that game. Why do you think, so they called it Ready or Not because what, they couldn't do hide and seek?
Probably. I know Hide and Seek is another horror movie. Well, yeah, I like Ready or Not as a title.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm wondering that's got to be the name of the game they play.
Yeah, or someone owns the copyright.
Yeah, like Happy Birthday, you know how you can't sing just the regular Happy Birthday in any movies. It has to be like another version. Where when I was younger, I didn't understand that. Actually, maybe like up to 5 years ago. And I was like, why do people take like creative license with Happy Birthday? They always have to put a spin on it.
Dude, oh my God, have you seen like online, like one of my friends posted that like kids are like, or I don't know who's doing it, but like the alphabet song is different now. And that they're trying to like force kids, you know, the propaganda machine, those liberal assholes are just trying to take the traditional alphabet away from our children, and we have to stop it. We gotta put our foots down. Our feet down.
Put your foots down.
And do what's right for our children, which is give them the traditional alphabet song.
We need to teach them the alphabet song.
Enough for you.
We need to teach them the alphabet song so they don't end up saying foots down.
Yes, exactly.
So they can learn their words. Wait, so tell me, what is it?
Oh, I don't know the song. I refuse to learn it.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna look it up.
And also new math. There's a new way to like do math, and I'm like, shut up, everyone.
What's the point?
Why are they trying to like revolutionize math? Just give kids calculators.
Oh my God. Math is truly something I have barely used since college, and definitely after college. I was just like, what's the point? Like, I mean, I do long division in my head sometimes for things, or I'll, you know, if people are like trying to figure something out and they're like, what's, 12 times 7? I'll like do it in my head and I'll picture, them doing it. Do you do that too? Where I'm like, okay, 7, then okay. I'll do it in my head. Wait, I'm gonna do it.
I don't do it like that.
84, right? Yeah.
Wait,
I don't do it with my fingers. I don't usually use my fingers, but I got nervous that I was gonna get it wrong when I do it. But that's all. That's all the math that I've done. I'm like, so why do they need to come up with a special formula? New math.
No. I mean, I really don't think anyone needs to take, well, most people, unless you're in some sort of specialized degree path, don't need math past algebra 2 just for normal living. Like, you might have to solve for a number sometimes. Like,
but barely.
Barely.
let's just put it this way, math wouldn't have helped Grace.
No.
Or maybe it would have. Maybe she could have figured out the number of rooms, how many paces it would take to run down the hall. I don't know.
Also, I would have stayed in those hidden hallways the entire time.
Oh, I know. When she hid in the one place and then decided to come out, it was like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, where was the garage? That would have been my other place where I would have tried to like hide in the trunk of a car or something.
Yeah. It was weird. Okay, so strong female lead. The criteria. What do we think? Is she top billed? Does she have agency? Does she move the plot?
Yeah. In my opinion, she is 100% an SFL. She is the plot. Like, all of her decisions force the plot to move forward. Because she could have stopped the action. She could have, like, taken her exit at any moment, and the whole movie would have been over. But her decisions are moving us forward, and she is making decisions. She is lied to by her fiance / I guess she's
husband.
A divorcee.
She is a divorcee.
What's the other word for a divorcee? A widow.
Oh,
what is the other word for a divorcee? A widow. Those are not the same thing.
Well, she's actually a divorcee for a moment, and then a widow. Because she tells him that she wants a divorce. She really just got a cluster of experiences.
Right? Well, but she has all the agency. She is making decisions, even though it's in this universe of
totally
fucked up shit. But she is making decisions because, she could have, taken her exit at any moment, and I think we all would have been fine and respected that decision because this is fucked up.
Cool. Yeah.
But and then she's definitely top billed. Samara. So nailed it.
I agree. She's SFL. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Yeah. It was really easy. That wasn't even a question, and you kind of knew it from the beginning. Because of the final girl or last girl standing kind of trope. But what about, we haven't talked about this in a while. What about the Bechdel test?
Failed miserably.
Because all of the conversations had to center around him.
And Alex.
Family.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of like, because it's a final girl type movie, and so like a final girl is like literally the last girl standing, and she's the one through who we're supposed to empathize with and is telling the story, or whose story we are viewing. And so I think by nature of it being that,
you think that it would
she's always talking about something else, like she's talking about what happened instead of like,
oh, I see what you mean. I mean, my experience as the final girl every weekend in college.
What?
I was last girl standing at parties, bars. I wasn't about to get killed, but I was just like able to stand forever. I had the ability. I was yeah.
Oh, I was a night owl, but like not last girl. I'm like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I feel a little bit uneasy, I'm like, I gotta go. I'm gonna vomit, and I need to be at my home to vomit in peace. Thank you.
For sure. It's silly. It was silly. I'm like, why was I doing that? And those are always regrettable moments. Mm-hmm. Those are the nights that you hook up with someone that you prefer to forget. Those are the nights that you decide to try dip for the first time. Those are the nights that you just do terrible things.
Ew, dip, bro.
So my final girl moments, always regrettable. But hers, not so regrettable. I mean, she made it. She made it out alive.
She made it. Yeah.
So what do you think the movie is saying? We've touched on it a bit, but what do you think it's saying about femininity? I think there's definitely some interesting values being pushed around.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the female characters, we've got Alex's mom, Grace, Emily, Alex's sister, and then who is the last girl? What's her name? Adam Brody's wife, Clara. And I think unfortunately, like setting up again, like that there's only one way, there's only one good way to social climb, to acquire wealth that isn't unearned. And that's through like love that is quote unquote true love. But I'm like, do you true love and also want to murder your wife?
Yeah.
Like men aren't getting anything out of the arrangement, even if the woman is getting quote unquote money or status, it's not as though the man isn't getting anything out of it. And all of the dark-haired women were harlots in some way, or just made to be dumb or like second class in some way, to the blonde, literally wearing white, innocent, quote unquote, innocent, named Grace. And like, I mean, you really hit it over the head that she was going to be the final girl, that she is special and or like exalted in some way, by nature of being her, and everyone else is wrong, for accepting wealth being thrust upon them through birth and never questioning it or challenging it, and then putting your head in the sand, when it comes to you having to defend what you have. And she's just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna get super high. And then the mother, Addie McDowell, and
she's great,
Adam Brody's sister, Clara, were both just seen as like money hungry social climbers, at least coming into the family as that. Clara hasn't ascended, but the mother has, but she only really has because those are her children. Like, I feel like if there was another generation above, it would be Addie McDowell, still seen as the, social climbing interloper who doesn't really belong, but now she's the head of the family, so she kind of gets to have that reign. But yeah, I think those were the only things I picked up in regards to the treatment of women in the film, which is interesting because this is a final girl movie and it should be all about girl power and like using your own ingenuity, which is why I would like to know more about Grace. Like if she was whatever the equivalent of a Girl Scout, Eagle Scout is, and that's helping her somehow. Whatever the highest Girl Scout you can be, that, or
like a junior or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. Not junior isn't the, oh my god, junior isn't the highest, but yeah, I don't know what it's called. Just Girl Scout? I don't know. Troop leader?
I think so. I don't know that you can become higher than a Girl Scout, actually, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I would have wanted to know, like, maybe she's a teacher and that's how she, and I also would have liked for Grace to interact with the game more and not just, to be in on the legend more, to have outsmarted them and instead of just outrun them.
Right.
Would have been nice, but beggars can't be choosers. And I love this movie. I mean, I guess love is a stronger. I really liked it. It was fun. What were your observations or perceptions of femininity?
Well, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, all the brunettes were evil in some way. Except the fierce aunt, who maybe was like both good and evil because she had suffered a loss through it, but then also, I don't know, she had white hair. She seemed very evil, but she had also gone through something that the rest of them hadn't. I think that Grace was a bit of a blank slate, so she was projected upon. I would be interested to know if you could tell me. I mean, I guess I can just look it up. A male or a female wrote it, but
two guys, Guy Busick and Christopher Murphy, the writers. Directed by Matt Bettinelli and Tyler Gillett.
Yeah, it kind of seems. So is that Ryan Murphy? Like the Ryan Murphy?
No, it's Christopher Murphy.
But it's our Christopher Murphy. So I wondered if because then it pops up for Ryan Murphy and I was like, is that the same guy for all the other stuff? But I don't think it is. That would be weird. Well, he's like, I'm in on this, but not really.
And I think it would be shot very differently. Like, I feel like his sets are so iconic in my mind. It definitely wouldn't have gotten away with this kind of low lighting the entire movie.
No.
You're gonna see these details if it's Ryan.
for sure. Yeah, I think she was a bit of an empty vessel and some values were projected upon her. So she had to be very, she, I don't, she just was innocent. She was like a fawn or something, and she
Mhm.
was in a den of wolves, and they were all going to, you know, kill
Yeah.
her. But I do think it, yeah, I think there are some conservative values that are pushed in terms of, or at least a commentary on conservative values and the relationship to wealth, and how this all seems to be playing out via marriage, which
Mhm.
should be a happy occasion, but instead it ends up being basically like a potential kill fest. So that's very interesting. So it kind of goes back and forth. It seems sort of religious, and it seems like you said she's exalted in some way, but then it seems to be making a negative commentary on other
Yeah.
conservative values. And she she's very obviously she is a strong female lead, but only based on the situation she's in. But we don't really get any intel on anyone.
Hmm.
It's all the same amount for everyone. So she's not
Yeah.
treated any differently in that way.
Yeah. And for a final girl movie, usually we find out the final girl like in the last act. Like usually she's, with a group and they're being picked off one by one. But this one we're just given it. We're given her. We know she's the
Right.
final girl. It's the only option is that she be the final girl. Ready or
Right.
not.
Right.
So I think that was interesting. But I also like this movie really reminded me of that movie where Ben Affleck marries that super blonde girl and then she's like playing him the whole time and
Oh,
she's
Gone Girl?
crazy. Gone Girl. That's what I wanted this to be. Just like if they had
Oh, that'd
gone
be
home to
great.
Gone Girl's family, that is who I wanted her to be. Like I wanted her to be somehow in on it and have an agenda of her own.
Yeah.
To be that conniving girl that everyone thinks she is and but has played so well that she's not. Because she definitely has that cool girl dialogue going where she's like, oh, the witty banter in the world, blah, 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 blah.
She's kind of
I'm cool.
crass and
Yeah.
like, fuck this, and having a cigarette before
Mm-hmm.
they're getting married. Yeah, it's very cool girl.
Yeah. But I just wanted her to have an agenda. Other
Yeah.
than like just like doe-eyed, oh, I loved him and I was wrong. Well, how did you choose him? Like, what?
Yeah, like what the fuck happened there? And
Mm-hmm.
Gone Girl, yeah, we should do that sometime. It was a good movie. The book's amazing. The movie didn't really do it justice. The best Gillian Flynn show or movie, like based on a book of hers, is Sharp Objects, bar none. Have you watched it?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh my God. We definitely have to do it. It's incredible with Amy Adams. And there's a bunch of strong female leads in it. But yeah, she wasn't really in on anything. And I was kind of like,
Yeah.
what, you didn't meet them before? Or was anything weird? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Nothing.
Google him before you said yes to the engagement. Like,
Because you could have found out about their
maybe.
history.
Yeah, because she did seem surprised that he was like a so wealthy. Like they've been together for 18 months. They said in the video, and I'm like, I think after 18 months and a proposal, you should know a little bit more about what you're marrying into, what you're getting yourself into. I would think
Right.
18 months and an engagement. I'm assuming it was a short engagement, but
that is also weird because they're all making a big deal about them getting engaged so quickly. And it's like, what, you want them to be with the person longer and subject them to being killed? Like you want this to be a long-standing relationship? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Or is it sort of a vetting? Like maybe they would have vetted her more if it had been longer. I didn't quite get it.
See, that's why I kind of thought that Alex was in on it the whole time. Like he was trying to get someone to marry him. Like I think in my head I was like, well, maybe you only have to sacrifice the first wife, or like, get some scenario where like as long as you like the individual has made a sacrifice to this demon, then you don't have to do it again, or like something. Because I'm like, what? It just seems like, why would you ever marry her? I would never marry her, and we would just be poor if I really loved her.
Right.
That's the part that doesn't make sense.
So many questions.
Just be poor and love me. Why are you trying to
really,
murder me?
and really, just love me.
Yeah, that should be the name of the episode. Just be poor and love me.
Just be poor and love me. Me. We can play hide and seek all night long.
Yes,
Real
any game. You name it. Monopoly, life, checkers, whatever you want.
Bingo. We can play bingo.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Or they could have played some, social deduction game. They could have played a game of Mafia. Yeah. What if this movie was just them all sitting around playing Mafia? It would be so amazing. Boring.
That would be amazing. I'd also like to see the movie where they're playing charades and it's just a demon jumping from body to body, just making them do stuff.
Ooh, yeah, like he's like, ooh, gotta get in on this game. Too fun to resist.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I love charades.
Oh, charades. Oh, shit. Well, yeah, no one has to die now.
Yeah.
What team am I on?
A witty game with like a demon about apples to apples. Like, oh my God. I think they would kill at it. Like, oh, it'd be so good.
Oh my God. So you said off pod, but I'm bringing it back. You have a ghost?
Oh, I swear to God, there's a ghost in my house. I swear. And it's like just an inconvenience ghost. Just really like playing with my emotions and like frustration levels because I'm like simmering around a 7 this week. I'm like, everything is just like, seriously. And like, I've lost my keys in my apartment. I live in a studio apartment. And I've lost my keys in this apartment at least 4 times.
And you have just like Wednesday. 4 surface areas.
There's nowhere. There's nowhere. And then I find them like on the counter. And I'm like, I stood and just stared at this counter for like 5 minutes because I had done laundry. And I was like, did I lock my keys in the laundry room? That's embarrassing. Good thing I have a spare set of keys. Got the spare set of keys. Went back into the laundry room. No keys there. Keys somehow wound up back on the counter. And I was like, you fucking mean ass ghost. Like, give me like a helpful Casper ghost. Like, just pull your weight.
Yeah, like, don't just, ride this shit for free. Well, I can relate because, oh my God, I'm going to bring up my grandma again. I can't believe this. By the way, my mom has been listening to the pod. Have I told you this?
Good.
But she definitely listened to the episode where I talked about my grandma's facelift. Hi, Mom. Mm-hmm. And that was the one she told me she had listened to. And I may have even said this on another pod. But she also sent me an article about Patricia Heaton, because we were talking about how she's from Cleveland. And that's so cute.
Oh.
Mom, thanks. I'm glad you're listening. Also slightly terrified. But I lost my Bluetooth headphones, and usually they're just like, they're either in the case or they're strewn about or in a pocket of something or in my purse. I looked on my nightstand and I stared at it, and I looked at the carpet and I ran my hands along the carpet. I looked under the bed. I opened the drawer of the nightstand. Like you just said, stared at that nightstand. Like I would see them if I was looking for them.
Yes.
And then I walked away and I went into the kitchen, and then like an hour later I came back and they were lined up on that nightstand, like lined up perfectly, like almost like display. And I would never line them up perfectly. Like that's not how I put them down. I'm just like they're under my pillow. I don't know, because I just like wear it before I go to sleep while I'm like watching a show. So I was freaked out, and I called a friend of mine and I was like, I have a weird feeling that someone was in my house, because I would never put them like that. It was very strange, and I'm a little freaked out now. And then I kind of talked myself out of it. And then I was like, maybe it's my grandma. Because every once in a while when things go missing and then I find them, I'll be like, Grandma, funny joke, Grandma. And like, because she's deceased, and I think she's kind of playing with me because I sort of believe in spirits, and I lost a ring that was hers, and then I found it in a place that I'd looked. And so this has happened before. So it's not like totally out of the ordinary, but nothing like that had ever happened. So then I was just kind of put it out of my mind. I didn't tell Zach about it because he'd be like, "You're crazy." Like no one was in the home, and your
but
grandmother.
You will tell the world about it.
Well, listen, I know secrets revealed. I didn't tell Zach for a month.
Okay.
Now I did tell him recently, but the only reason I told him is now we're going to get into the unfunny part of this story.
Yikes.
A neighbor of mine witnessed someone attempting to pick the lock of the door to her apartment, like
What?
the interior front door. So they got into the building, and then she heard something and looked through the peephole and saw someone bent down and heard it. Yeah, insane, right? Like full on insane. And I'm like at it with the property management company now, and like trying to get their attention and all this stuff, because I don't think the cops will really be able to do anything because nothing was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
There was no citizen's arrest, although it's a dream to be a part of one.
Oh my God, you gotta get the thing for your window that says like this property is guarded by such and such security, just in case.
Yes. And it's funny because I said a neighbor of mine has that, and I'm like, you put the sticker in the window, and they're like, no, we actually have security. I was like, oh. Like, you're not doing the time-old trick? Like, but so now it's like not as funny, but now we just like a bunch of us are very aware. And the front door, listeners, if you remember, I talked about packages being stolen. So are they connected? And then I was kind of like, did someone fuck with me and put my Bluetooth headphones? Like, I mean, I would think they would steal them. That would make no sense. But trying to break in broad daylight when they know that people are there, like there's music and noise, and like they're like
that seems personal
either. So now I'm just kind of like, is someone just fucking with us?
Yeah. That seems personal. Like, have you wronged anyone? like, someone have a vendetta against you?
I mean,
other than your grandma.
I know. Now she's pissed. Like, you can't blame me for everything.
Yeah.
All these little things you lose, right? Like you can't be like, Grandma, stop fucking with me. But I asked my neighbor that because the person didn't try to pick my lock. They tried to pick theirs, and it's the apartment like above me, and they didn't know of any vendettas. But I took to Twitter, so everyone, and just to get the property management company's attention, because social media, I'm gonna get on a soapbox, it is a consumer's like best weapon for anything like this.
Yeah.
Like
the internet lives forever.
People do not like negative Yelp reviews. It seems so petty, but if you need to get the attention, now granted it's not entirely working now, although we did have 3 things fixed in our apartment yesterday, and those pending service requests were for like months. So they came in, but still, I mean, the door, like the main, I mean, this is the same like agency that, fixed my garage door, and then they're like, okay, yeah, it shuts your garage door but opens the 2 others like of your neighbors. I'm like, this is insane. So I took to LinkedIn, I took to Twitter, and I'm making it happen, and I'll keep you posted. But I am fighting for the rights of us in Chicago that just want the door to close, because the kid just ran away. It was a teenager. And it's Chicago. I don't really feel comfortable doing like a citizen's arrest because frankly, I'm assuming I'll just get shot. Like I don't really want to, although I'd love to do an arrest, like where we just blockade someone.
No, that has never even crossed my mind to do a citizen's arrest. Pass. If you want it, I hope you can get it out right now, because I'll call the police, but no, I'm not, no. No, never in this life. Never in this life.
I just love reading articles and the citizen's arrest was placed. I'm like, how does that go down? Exactly.
No. It's like in a 2-stoplight town where it's just like the local Johnny boy is at it at the gas station stealing too many candy bars. That's a citizen's arrest. Someone's in here stealing real shit. You planned this? Just take it. It's fine. I got insurance.
We lock our doors and well, this is great. What do you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give this 3.5 out of 5. I really liked it. It's a good time. It's a light scare. It's great to like ease your way into Halloween, into spookiness.
Yeah, just a little baby scare.
Just a great place to start. Yeah, a little baby scare.
Baby scare.
Yeah. What about you?
It was fucking enjoyable. I will give it a 3.5 as well. Like it's not up to a 4 because it just like it's too easy.
Predictable.
A little too predictable, but it did it. It scratched an itch. It was super easy. And I just have to say, Adam Brody, I always get a little confused because he's married to Leighton Meister.
Oh, Leighton. I always think they're the same person. Yeah, Leighton.
Now, that is exactly the point I was going to make. They look exactly like, she looks exactly like Rachel Bilson, and that was who he was with in Gossip Girl, or not Gossip Girl, the OC. And I can't wrap my brain around it sometimes. And then especially with Lonely Boy, who is like questionable in terms of his looking kind of similar. I'm just like, I can't. They all confuse me. There's too many brown-haired boys that are like
brown-haired boys with emotions. Yeah.
It was Adam Brody, but there's another one.
That was such a look. It was such a vibe.
The
in, like,
curly,
the
curly-ish hair.
Yeah.
Was it Lonely Boy? Or I think Adam Brody might look like but those two girls, I just truly, unless they're side by side, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, in name only. Like if I saw them, I'd be like, Rachel Bilson, Leighton Meester. But then there's also the girl from she's on Chicago Fire for a while, and then on that One Tree Hill, that brunette. Those three could all be the same person in name. Like if you just told me their names.
Or Sophia Bush.
Something. Yeah. I was like, they could all be the same. Until I see them like in a lineup, I'd be like, boom, boom, boom. I can tell them apart. But just say their names, I'm like, they were the same person in the early 2000s. They really were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was sort of like, Adam Brody, did you have a thing for Rachel Bilson? And that's why you're with...
I think they dated, didn't they?
Leighton Meester. Oh, yeah, that's right. He dated both of them clearly as a type. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing just screwed with my head. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. Everyone looks too similar.
I really like, of the three, I really like Leighton. I think she's cool.
She was born in a prison.
That's a very cool origin story.
A great origin story. A great
I was born in a stupid hospital. How lame. My parents could have done so much better. I'm going to have my kids in a yurt.
Yeah, it's something interesting. I was like, all right, girl.
In a shaman.
All right, girl, get it. Oh. All right, well, that's all I got.
That's okay. We've done all we can do.
This is it. This is all we have. And thank you for being with us. We know that we just left you last week and we didn't tell you, and maybe you thought we ghosted you, but we didn't. We were just thinking about ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't actually ghost you.
Yeah.
We love
would
you.
Never do that to you. Yeah.
And you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
And tweet at us. Tweet your star ratings and what you thought about Ready or Not at SFL_Chicago on Twitter.
Yeah, and I don't even know my Twitter handle off the top of my head, but if you find me, feel free to retweet my Yelp review of the property manager.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's in California. I don't care if it's, in Nebraska. Just let them know. Just let them know people know.
People know. And
the world knows.
A tab. We're keeping tabs on you.
We're keeping tabs on you.
You want to just shout them out right now and tell the people who we're mad at?
No, because I'm like a little bit nervous. Like I feel weird naming them on the pod, even though it's on social media. For some reason, I'm like,
I mean,
am I
you still got a
hitting
lease,
any?
so
I know. I'm like, am I
you can
hitting
go right
some
back to
sort
those
of?
pending requests. Just
I'm like, am I hitting some sort of legal territory? I mean, but not really. It's not defamation if you're stating the truth, and I'm stating what
yeah,
happened. So there.
yeah,
Yeah, guys, just
okay,
collective anger. Okay, that's it.
yeah, just collective anger.
All right.
Yay.
Until
Guys,
next
we'll see you
time.
next week. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.